The chandeliers of the Alzar Grand Ballroom glittered like frozen rain, their golden light spilling over tables draped in silk and silver. Waiters moved with precision, balancing trays of crystal flutes filled with champagne that cost more than a month's wages. Among them was Amara, a young black waitress whose calm eyes concealed the exhaustion of 12-hour shifts and the quiet pride of a mother who refused to give up. She moved gracefully between billionaires and royals, her uniform crisp, her movements careful, her mind fixed on one simple goal: survive the night, earn her pay, and send enough money home to her mother in Nairobi. But that night, Destiny was waiting, dressed in a white thobe and wrapped in arrogance. Sheikh Khalid Al-Hamdan, one of Dubai's most powerful billionaires, had arrived. The murmurs followed him like a storm cloud. His fortune was old, his temper older. He had the kind of smile that never reached his eyes, sharp, watchful, and cold. When Amara stepped near his table, balancing a tray of champagne glasses, she caught a whisper, Arabic words that floated through the air like poison. Words meant to humiliate, never to be understood. Laughter rippled around the table. She smiled politely, not knowing what had been said, but her heart clenched, as if her spirit understood what her ears could not. What no one expected was that standing near the entrance, unseen by all, was a young woman polishing silver trays, Amar's daughter, Layla. She was 22, a recent graduate, fluent in 5 languages, including Arabic. She had been quietly working there for weeks, saving for her dream to study abroad. And when she heard the Sheikh's words, her blood ran cold, because she understood every insult. And before the night was over, her voice, calm, measured, and unshakably proud, would echo through that golden hall, turning humiliation into reckoning. Amara had arrived in Dubai 8 years earlier, leaving behind the dusty red roads of Kenya and the ache of hunger that too often sat at her family's table. Life had never given her luxury, but it had given her dignity, the kind that doesn't shine in gold, but glows quietly in how you treat others. She began as a cleaner in the Alzar Hotel, invisible among marble floors and perfumed air. Slowly, through hard work and spotless records, she rose to position of waitress for private elite events, serving the wealthy who barely saw her, whose tips could change her entire month. Layla, her daughter, had joined her in Dubai 2 years earlier. Bright, articulate, and fiercely ambitious, she had grown up watching her mother scrub the floors of other people's privilege. She promised herself she would never bow to the same fate. But the world didn't bend easily to promises, not when your skin was dark in a city that worshipped fairness. Layla's dream was to study international relations. She wanted to be a voice for people like her mother, for workers who smiled through disrespect, for those whose worth was reduced to the color of their skin. But to get there, she needed money, and so she worked part-time in a hotel where her mother served. That night was supposed to be routine, another lavish banquet for the city's elite. The Sheikh's arrival, however, turned the air electric. He had recently purchased a controlling share in one of Dubai's luxury development firms, and this dinner was a celebration of his growing empire. His entourage filled the room, men in designer suits and women in glittering gowns, the scent of oud and money thick in the air. Amara had been assigned to his table, a mark of trust, but also danger. High-profile guests were unpredictable. One mistake could cost her the job she had built her life around. She moved with quiet grace, keeping her eyes down, speaking only when necessary. And yet, even her silence wasn't enough. Because to men like Sheikh Khalid, respect wasn't earned by effort, only by status. And to him, the color of her skin was an unforgivable trespass in his world of marble and gold. He whispered something in Arabic, smirking as her companions chuckled, a cruel remark about how servants should know their place. It was a sentence soaked in centuries of superiority, echoing the same poison that had justified empires and chains. Layla, working just a few tables away, froze. Every syllable sliced through her heart. The humiliation wasn't just her mother's. It was generations deep. For the rest of the evening, Layla could barely breathe. Her hands moved mechanically, polishing glass, arranging napkins, pretending not to hear the murmurs and laughter that rolled like waves around the Sheikh's table. But inside her, something was breaking and rebuilding. The insult replayed in her mind, sharper each time. The language she had once loved, the lyrical beauty of Arabic, now felt like a weapon, twisted and cruel. She looked at her mother, who smiled faintly as she served. Her face calm though her spirit must have felt the sting. Amara didn't understand the words, but she felt their weight. She always did. Hours passed. The banquet continued, filled with applause, speeches, and clinking glasses. The sheik grew louder, emboldened by wine and attention. Each time Amara approached, his smirk returned. He spoke again, careless and cruel, his companions laughing obediently. Layla's fingers trembled as she wiped the last table. Her heart thundered in her chest, her mind whispering the same impossible thought. Say something. But how could she? She was just a worker, a migrant, the daughter of a maid. One word from the sheik could ruin them both. Her mother could be fired, deported, humiliated. And yet, silence was its own kind of death. As the night drew to a close, the sheik requested coffee, a traditional Arabic kahwa served in a golden dalla. Amara hurried to prepare it, her movement steady despite her aching feet. When she returned to his table, the sheik looked her over slowly, as if she were an object, not a person. Then he turned to his companions and muttered another insult about her hands, her skin, her place in the order of things. Layla heard it all, every word. Something inside her snapped, but not like glass, like a bowstring drawn to its breaking point, releasing with perfect precision. She placed her tray down, turned toward the table, and stepped forward. The hall seemed to still. Waiters paused mid-step, conversations hushed. The billionaire looked up, mildly irritated. And then it happened. Not loud, not angry, but in clear, perfect Arabic. Layla spoke. The words left her lips like fire wrapped in silk. Calm, deliberate, devastating. The same language the sheik had used to humiliate her mother now became the instrument of his undoing. Her tone carried no rage, only truth, each phrase precise and unshakable. She told him that true nobility wasn't found in wealth or titles, but in how one treated those who served. That respect spoken in arrogance was nothing but noise. That her mother, whom he had mocked, had worked harder and sacrificed more honorably than any fortune could measure. Every sentence struck like thunder disguised as poetry. Guests stopped eating. The air thickened with disbelief. No one dared interrupt. The sheik's eyes widened, first in shock, then in something far more dangerous, shame. He realized too late that the servant's daughter had just dismantled his entire illusion of superiority, using his own language as a blade. Layla didn't cry, didn't tremble. She stood tall, her gaze unwavering. In that moment, she was more royal than anyone in the room. When she finished, silence consumed the hall. The sheik's entourage looked away, unsure of what to do. The power he wielded moments ago evaporated, because power built on disrespect collapses when met with truth. Amara stood frozen, tears pooling in her eyes. She didn't understand every word, but she understood everything that mattered. Her daughter had done what generations of women before her had only dreamed, spoken truth to power with dignity unbroken. Then, quietly, Layla turned and walked away. Her mother followed, hand in hand, their steps echoing through the marble corridors like a victory drum. Behind them, the sheik sat motionless, stripped of arrogance, trapped in the silence of his own reflection. The next morning, word of what happened spread to the hotel like wildfire. Some whispered that Layla had been reckless. Others called her brave. The management summoned her, expecting an apology. But something extraordinary happened. Several witnesses, including guests, had recorded her speech. The video began circulating online. Within hours, it had gone viral across Dubai's social circles and beyond. Millions watched a young woman in a modest uniform speaking flawless Arabic, defending her mother against a billionaire's cruelty. The comment sections overflowed, some filled with anger, others with admiration. The story reached even those who had once looked away from injustice, forcing them to see the quiet racism hidden behind wealth and privilege. The sheik tried to silence the story at first, threatening lawsuits, calling it defamation. But truth is louder than power. Eventually, his company's board intervened. Public image mattered more than ego. He issued a formal apology, hollow perhaps, but public. And for Amara and Layla, that was enough. The hotel reinstated them both. Even promoted Amara to a supervisory role, a small gesture, but symbolic. Layla received messages from universities around the world, some offering scholarships after learning her story. She had wanted to study international relations. Now she would carry with her a story that would forever define her mission to make dignity the language of justice. Months later, as she prepared to leave for her studies, Layla stood with her mother outside their small apartment, watching the sun set behind Dubai's skyline. The city gleamed as it always had, golden, indifferent, magnificent. But for the first time, it felt like something inside it had changed, because a girl from Nairobi had reminded it, and the world, that the worth of a human being can never be measured in money, skin color, or titles. It's measured in the courage to stand when silence feels safer. And in that courage, Layla had not only defended her mother, she had spoken for thousands who couldn't.